na na na.
Na 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 na.
Why is Hilux the biggest selling ute? Is it the comfy interior, the extraordinary power, or the toughness to take a full ton in the back? Hilux, Australia's favourite ute,
What a feeling. Toyota.
because it's unbreakable.
G'day and welcome to Toyota Tuesday. On this episode of I Call Bull. Toyota Tuesday is just a little midweek catch up on what I'm doing with all the Toyotas and try and keep Saturday for the classics, shall we say. Won't always be that way, won't always work out that way, but anyway, these are just going to be short little interludes of what's going on with the Toyotas, just to keep everyone who's interested in that sort of stuff engaged. I'm back on the old 4Runner, still no engine. I've got I've got a line on a running 3VZE engine, is that it? In Perth, which is about 8 hours away from me. I did try to get to the guy when I was up seeing my brother, because I was going to swing back through, and it's really not on my way home, but I would have detoured to get it. Anyway, he contacted me a couple of days later, and I've organised to go and see him and get the engine when I'm on my holidays in a few weeks. But Paul, my TAFE lecturer, he has a couple of diesels, and he's going to have a look at what he's got lying around, because I would really prefer to put an older diesel in this so that I can, not older as in older than the vehicle, same vintage, but I'm thinking a 3L 2.8 litre with a turbo would be quite satisfactory. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, so I'm not really wasting any brain power on the old engine. I got the panels off again. Now, I grew up, my teenage and early 20s, I was in Geraldton, Western Australia. And there was this bloke there called Pip Allen, and I asked him if he would teach me how to do window tinting, because he did sign writing and tinting. And then I bought this car, and if it didn't have old Pip Allen's autographic design and striping, he used to go around to car yards. This is how he started in this industry. He started by going around to car yards and pinstriping the cars on the lot before they went for sale back in the early 90s. So this would have been one of, obviously, the cars that he did on the lot up in Geraldton. This is the second car that I've bought down in Esperance, where I live, and has randomly been a Geraldton car and ties to people I know. So the other one's my ute that comes from Young's Holden in Geraldton. Had quite a few people I know work there and whatnot over the years. So it's just, I don't know, it's just funny how things work out. So, saying that, I've just given a little scuff up, the old sticker, and I'm going to clear over that. So I'll mask it off when I paint the insides of the doors, and I'm going to clear over that, and I'll clear over the tyre thing as well, just to preserve them. I've just been sanding. There's been a lot of sanding going on. Taking these badges off, I'll show you what I'm doing there. Alright, just as an aside, while I'm prepping this thing up, I've measured the badges from the edge there and from on that step to where they go. I've taken detailed photos. But on a cheap job like this, just something that's a runabout, it's not high end, I get a bit of MIG wire and I get it in behind the badge and I cut it off, and then I always leave the glue, right? And then, like, I'll take all the rough edges off and stuff, but I leave some residue of that glue so that when I've painted it, I know exactly where that badge went, and then I just put a bit of Sikaflex on the back of the badge, or even double-sided tape, but I prefer Sikaflex. And then I just glue it back on exactly where it went. And that way there's no guesswork. It is that simple. So, just a trick. What else have I been doing? I've just got a few little spots. I just keep one of those little Sharpie paint pens on me at all times. When I just find a little something, I just put a circle around it. I did put blue circles on it, but I couldn't see them obviously because they're too, like, they don't, well, show up better in the camera, but in real life they don't really show up that well. So I was switched out to the yellow one, which makes more sense. So that's what's happening with the 4Runner. I finally confessed to my wife that I'm keeping this beastie. I don't think she's happy about it. If I'm really honest, I think she's very unhappy about it. But that will just mean that I have to get rid of something else to keep this, and I'm really excited about this. I've had a couple of young blokes helping me. They've pulled the interior out. I mean, it doesn't look like it now, but I'll show you the video.
Shining on me, boy, I'm indifferent. Go! Target like a matador. Come on, I'm ready to go get it like a Labrador. Dog days done and I'm tired of the tug of war. Broke off the leash and I ain't going back no more. I've been better ever after like Blairmore. Hold up, let me reset. Living in the matrix, use the sequence. I cracked the code, popped out the subnet. Walk around like I found a 20, that's a dubstep. Living in the moment, did you notice that enough yet?
Well, that's it, pressure washed out. I think it's in really good condition, really, realistically. There's stuff. I understand there's stuff. I'm not a moron. But, you know, compared to what it could be, actually really pretty good. So, floor pans for the front. I will put the seats back in and everything for licensing and rego, and probably put a 2H in it to start with and then go to 1HZ later on. But that is my whip, and I think that's glorious. I love that, so I can't wait to get that thing on the road. Won't be happening soon. I've got so much on the go right now, but it's far too good. So I have made my decision, to my wife's chagrin, but I just can't wreck this. It's just too good. So this is going to be my forever rig. It's going to be my troopy. And as you can see in that video, the floor is excellent. I'll use that as a template, that wood there, as a template for new wood, with all the screw holes and all the cuts and everything. So yeah, I've had that top up a few times, and that actually goes up quite nicely. It pops straight up. And like I said in the other video that I inserted, we've got to do the floors. Up a couple of motors for $100 for this 2H ones. Spoke to Paul again, the old lecturer, and he's given me some tips on what I can do to a 2H to make it go really, really well, because he's built quite a number of them. So look, this is going to be on the back burners. Probably the last time you guys will see this for a little bit, because I'm really not going to work on it until I've got some of the other projects out the way. Speaking of which, I will be getting back onto this one as soon as the 4Runner is painted, unless an engine turns up. But between the time I paint the 4Runner and the time I get the engine, I'll be concentrating on getting this one done. My son's 75. If you haven't seen that episode, go back and see it. This is his engine. Again, I had Paul look over this yesterday. He was out having a look at our facilities here, and he suggested either boring out 30 thou over, or he said more preferentially he thinks put new sleeves in it and bring it back to standard. So we'll probably do that. But I will have a look at these other two H's I've picked up and see if one of them's in pretty good nick, and if it is, I'll probably chuck that in for now. I am half tempted to take these bolts out from the chassis there, and lift the cab off and sandblast this chassis. I've got a mate who's a sandblaster. I was going to do all the sandblasting myself, but I might make a whole video on getting that done, because I've got to get another one done, and that would be this one. This is a 2012. It's got the VDJ V8 in it. I had to do the starter motor in that the other week. That's an interesting job to do down there in the valley. So as you can see, this is in quite a state of disrepair. This is the next mining vehicle that I'm doing up at work. So this is not my project, but it is a project that I am overseeing and am doing a lot of work on. So there's a lot of Toyota stuff going on at the moment. I can show you some of this build. I can't show you all of this build because it's not my vehicle. So, you know, like, it's got a lot of lower panel rust. There's stuff that just has to happen to this thing. It will be coming off the chassis, and I'm hoping to record that. This will come off the chassis late this week, so after you guys are watching this. So it should be in the next episode that I'm taking this off the chassis, and this will be going down to get sandblasted, and I will record all of that. And I'll show you all of that stuff, because that's going to be pretty cool. This side's pretty solid. If you're not intimidated by rust, which I am not intimidated by rust, I can get overwhelmed by rust. Let me just put that out there. I can get overwhelmed by rust. But if you're not intimidated by rust, which I am not, you can pick up some really cool bargains. Or people will just give you stuff. And yeah, what did my wife say to me today? One man's trash, another man's treasure. So all of that is going on right now. I'm just flat chat. If you do not know about these stripper discs, you are missing out. They are the best thing that I've ever used for taking paint off. I've always hated using paint strippers, like as in the, you know, the liquid paint stripper that you put on and then let it craze up. I hate that stuff. It's awful. It's awful to use. It stinks, burns you. It's just messy. Have a look at what this thing will do. And you might think, oh yeah, well I can do the same thing with a flapper disc. You can, but a flapper disc is really harsh. And if you have a look at the integrity of the steel there, that has barely touched it. And I've stripped whole sides. Go back to my early green limousine videos when I first got it in the shed at home. I stripped the whole side of that in no time at all. They are brilliant. I'm in love with them. And the amount of people that have never heard of them. You can buy them at Super Cheap Autos, you can buy them at Bunnings. I'm sure they have them at Repco and those sorts of places. They're, what are they? Like a polyester, I think, with a resin. But they're so good. They're the best thing. All right, remember this is for taking the dogs to the beach, this thing. It's not something that I want to spend forever on, although I feel like I am spending forever on it. That's that strip back with that stripper disc. And I just can't get over the finish it gives you. So these little bits of rust here are obviously the water's got down there and just sat. I'll just give them a little go through with one of these step bits. You can just do it with a normal drill bit, but I like the step bits. So it has no real integrity, this steel down here whatsoever. And they don't like that cold steel up them, do they, Captain Mannering? So that's all right there. That one there's probably just a little bit. Yeah, you can see it in behind it. Right, so that's all I'm going to do with those. And then I'll get an air gun and I'll blow out all that shale and whatnot. And then what I'll do, I'll show you. What you can do, if it won't go down enough with the hammer, is you can just get the old step bit in there and give that a whack with the hammer. Don't know how I'm going to do that one-handed, but let's... And there'll be those at home that say, oh, you rough so-and-so, and that's fair enough. But you don't have to do it on your car. But if you're one of those people who's got very limited funds and very limited tools and very limited capability, this will get you out of the manure. You will be able to drive your car and nobody will ever suspect that you've been there if you do it properly. Look, the whole premise of this channel is to show you ways to keep your cars on the road without spending $1 billion. Would that be better welded up? Absolutely, that would be better welded up. Am I going to weld it up given that I'm just going to drive it to the beach and take my dogs there? No, I'm not. Would I do this on the green limousine or on the XP? Not a chance. They're long-term rebuilds, but this is something to just get around. So this is a choice I'm making about the repair I'm doing. And you get to make your own choices. But this will work. And it will work long term. You do need a good mechanical bond. So what I mean by that is you've got to scratch it up so that the resin and the fiberglass you can all bond onto that surface. If it's shiny and smooth, as it comes up with the stripper, that's too smooth. So I've gone over it with a bit of 60 grit, done a bit of a crosshatch, and that'll be fine for this little repair here. You can see I've got little extras that have popped up. That will happen if you find a little bit of rust in the bottom of a door like this, expect to find more. And I possibly could find more along here. There was a bit of body filler here. They'd only done it with, well, actually they weren't broken through yet, so I don't know what had happened. But I could see that the bottom of that door, by that orange peel, had been resprayed before. It's not a bad job. It's more orange peel than some people would like. It's more orange peel than the factory had, but it's still all right. Nothing wrong with that. So now I'm going to mix up this metal mend. This is just an old breadboard that we didn't need anymore. I like it because it's got the handle. You can put your thumb in there. It's good. I like it. Before you do any fills, clean your board. Clean your board at the beginning and the end of every fill, right? Because it only takes one little bit of stuff in the fill, and it's more probably body filler than the metal fill. But I'll switch between, say, metal fill and metal mend. When I was young, they were always called metal mend. So I struggle to call them metal fill. But yeah, either way, that's what I mean. So, clean your board, clean your scrapers. That's well used, they're well used scrapers, but they're very smooth, and I keep the edges nice and clean. So, they're not perfect, but they're definitely good enough. Carl Fisher from Make It Customs has a saying that I really like, and he says, it's not perfect, but it's 100% good enough. Okay, now, the metal fill. When you scoop it up, I'm not going to need a lot for this job, so I'm only going to grab a little bit. Metal fill is a base, right? You get that, it fills the hole and everything, and then you get your body filler onto it. Can you see those fibrous strands coming off that? They're your little, what is it called? They're your stainless steel fibres, I'm pretty sure. They could be the fiberglass. I actually don't know. To be honest, I might be talking out the wrong side of my face. I really don't know. But they're the fibres, they make it strong. There's stainless steel in there, there's fiberglass, so it's just a good product. I've been using this for over 30 years, this sort of thing. Septone is great, this brand here. If you have a super cheap near you, they used to run Septone stuff. I don't know if they still do. Septone's brilliant. I got this from Feature Paints. I'm pretty sure they're nationwide, but it's brilliant stuff. All right, bit of hardener. That's probably more hardener than I need. In fact, that is more hardener than I need, and that's probably not going to set up. Frog. So, that is way too much hardener. Let me tell you right now, that's too much hardener, and that is not going to set properly. I've ruined that. So now I've got to start again because I'm a goose, because I was too busy talking and I didn't concentrate on what I was doing. So, let me start again. You only want a little bit of hardener. This goes, see, it's too red. It goes like a dirty grey colour when it's got the right amount of hardener in it. And again, you will learn these things by trial and error. You'll waste body filler, fillers, you'll waste primers, you'll waste a lot of stuff learning. It's okay. You're not a failure. It's how you learn. Definitely try not to make the same mistake twice, but you know, I've been guilty of that, so I can't really say too much. Sometimes I'm a bit slow on the old uptake. It's not great to waste material, but sometimes it's better to have wasted that than to try and go ahead with it. So let's do that again. I want about that same amount. That was a good amount for the repair I was doing, because as I say, this is just simply to fill those little holes. And I will make the panel, that's probably still even too much there. I'll make the panel itself nice and smooth with polyester filler, which is body filler. Right, now let's. So when I'm not sure how much hardener I need, this is a trick I use. I'll do it over here. Right, I'll put my hardener there. Now that I'm paying attention to what I'm doing this time, and then I'll cut a little bit off. See, I've still got that big amount there, and I'll just put that in, and I just knead it in like bread. Right, like you're making scones or making bread. Knead it in. Layer it over, drag it across. Lay it over, drag it across. Alright. That's not bad, but I think I can use a little bit more. So then I grab a little bit more and I start again. Now, you're going to want to clean, and you can do it either on the edge of your board, which that did a good job, or you can use another scraper. If I'm doing a big fill, I'll often use another scraper and clean it up and bring it back on. And my dad used to do this, and I'd watch him as a kid, and it was magic to me watching him do body filler. I remember he did a combi when we were little, and I'd never seen him do a car since... He probably didn't do a car from the time I was about 5 years old to the time I was 12 years old. And when I watched him do that car at 12, I was amazed. And then that was it, he was away. We started doing cars all the time after that, and that's when he started teaching me this trade. That's the colour I want. So it's dirty grey, right? And it's very cold where I am right now, so I'm happy with that, and I don't need any more. So I've got a little bit of waste there, but better to have a little bit of waste there than waste all of this. You can buy other tubes of hardener too, if you run out. They say you shouldn't need extra hardener. I have in the past, well, especially when I was young, needed extra hardener. You can just go and buy a tube. I think they sell it at super cheap. Cool. Now really you should have the smallest scraper, like for these little repairs here. I don't know how well you can see them. Let me try and bring you a little closer. There we go. That's a precarious position for my phone. But anyway, for these little fills here, you should have the smallest scraper that you need. Now this stuff having the fibres in it, it lays across the top, right? All you want to do, you're not looking to fill the whole panel. I'm not looking to fill up this whole area I've ground out. Right? I'm just looking to put it in the holes and then kind of run it smooth. And that is that repair. I'm not going to play with that. I'm not going to mess with it. It's pressed into the holes. It's kind of flush. Even if it went hollow, I wouldn't play with that anymore. Right? I'm going to let the fiberglass and the resin and the... what is it called? The stainless steel. I'm going to let all that stuff do its job, and that's it. I do not mess around with the metal fill. I do not try and get it smooth and lovely. I just put it on as neat as I can in one pass, and then I walk away. And you'll see, where are you? And you'll get to this point, and you'll see there's hardly any waste there. It's only a tiny little bit. But that's the repair, and that's those holes filled, and that will sit in there for years and years and never give me a problem. It's not bulging out the other side, it's just simply pressed in enough to fill those holes, and because I made those holes hollow, it's sitting in the hollows, it's biting into those scratch marks I've put in. I'll sand that back, and that will be perfect to go putting a fill over. Now, this stuff, when you sand it back, it does have a lot of pinholes and pock marks. You'll get that with your body filler. Don't stress about it. This is not a finishing product. This is a make it so there's no pinholes or no holes, and then put your finishing stuff over the top. I'm stressing that because I see a lot of people try and get the metal fill perfect, and it's absolutely pointless. I usually hit that with a grinder and then come along and put my fill on top, because, not a grinder, a flap disc, because I don't want to stand around sanding that and then sand the body filler and then sand the paint and then sand and sand. So just hit it with a flap disc, get it down smooth, close to smooth, maybe finish it off with a bit of 40 grit and then, or 36 grit, whichever one you've got, and then go over that and make sure you've got the scratches. See, there's not enough scratches there for me to put the body filler over. I need to put the body filler on scratches like that, scratches like that, not smooth stuff like that. It's too smooth. Okay? Moving on. And that's how that looks after a little bit of a grind and a sand. Hit with a flat disc on the grinder. And now I'll just fill that. And caveat, there's no structural integrity to metal fill or anything like that. So you can't use it anywhere that's going to need to be structurally integral. Bottom of the door like this is fine. You wouldn't use it in your pillars or anywhere where you really needed to have structural integrity. And like I said, just little holes. Don't go filling giant chasms. It's not required. I use this stuff on every single patch panel. I go around after I've ground it. I just go around and I just give a light fill of this stuff just in case I've got a pinhole somewhere. Every time. And that's my own personal thing to do. Right, yeah, that's that fill. These are, I can't even remember what I got this out of. But this was attached to it. All right, so I cut it down and got a short one and a long one. See how thick they are? They are perfect for wrapping a bit of sandpaper around and doing a hollow like that. So I've got the old 36 grit wrapped around it. And because it's long, it'll maintain the shape of that and this part here and make the centre conform to it, because they're your two, I guess they're your yardsticks as far as straightness goes. So as soon as you start to see any metal pop through here, you stop and you might have to do another fill or whatever. But yeah, you don't have to get too carried away with it. As I say, this is just a dog runner to the beach. So I wanted to be consistent against two planes that I knew were the right height. They don't need to be long, short strokes. Keep checking it. Should have my mask on. See this metal sticking through now? That's as far as I'll go with that. And then you can come up. Some people like to do it in a crisscross pattern. I never got taught to do it in a crisscross pattern. My son went to work for a guy in town when he was at high school, and he was sanding the way I taught him to sand. The guy lost his mind. My son was highly offended and thought this guy's a knob. But he's not. It's the way he was taught. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. Okay, so that's that sanded. So start off with the, I think it's 40 grit, that stuff. 36 40 grit. What you rip it back with that, and then you go to your 60 grit, and then you can go to 80 if you want to. There was a lip here that didn't want to sand off. So I've said it in other videos, but if you're new to the channel, I'll say it again. When you're sanding, if you get an edge that won't come down on your body filler, sand with the body filler away from it. So don't go back and forwards on that edge, because you'll create a hollow around it. If you just sand off the edge like that, right, harder than that obviously, but and more vigorous, but you will get rid of the edge. Same here, I've got a bit of a paint edge here, so the paint is higher than the body filler. I want it all to feather together. I'm only sanding in the direction that the lip is sitting, that I want to come off the lip onto whatever surface. So from here it was off the body filler onto the paint, because I wanted the body filler to feather to the paint. Here I want the paint to feather to the body filler, so I'm coming off the body filler in the direction of the lip that I'm trying to get rid of. And that, I mean, that's smooth now. That's a smooth transition. That's it. You will get people that will tell you cannot put body filler over paint. You can. You absolutely can. You don't want to do it on a big repair. You don't want to do it on a car that is going to be your forever beautiful car. I wouldn't do it on a classic, obviously. But for something that you just want to look really, really neat, and you've got limited resources and limited time, that's absolutely fine. You just have to make sure that you scratch it up enough to give it a mechanical bond, because it will have a chemical bond, but it needs a mechanical bond as well. So now I'll go over that with a bit of 180 just to settle down some of these lines. I'll mask up everything I don't want primer on. Primer spreads, okay? So don't think, oh, well, I've only got a repair down here, I don't have to mask up there because I'm only priming here. No, you'll get overspray and then you'll be cleaning that off and you'll be frustrated with yourself that you didn't take the time. I have been known to be very, very lazy, and lazy does not work because then you cost yourself because you spend extra time cleaning up everything. So don't be lazy in the first place and you'll only have to do the job once. Be lazy, you'll do it twice. So that's now, I'll put primer on it. I'll get high build on that to fill in any of the scratches and whatnot. There's now no rust there. The other thing I meant to say about the rust is you must make sure you get the shale or the broken up rust out from behind it. You cannot put filler over that because the rust will come back. The shale swells when it gets moisture in it. It will crack your bog. If you're going to do a cheap repair like this one, make sure you clean out behind it thoroughly. Otherwise it will come back, and it will come back very quickly. Okay, so I'm just doing the top of this door frame here, and if you know with these Forerunners, Hiluxes, all that kind of stuff. And I was thinking to myself, well, how am I going to get the shape, because it's not a massive round there. How am I going to get a good shape in there and continue it around that curve? And I don't know why, but for some reason there's this hunk of hose lying around in this workshop. And I thought, well, I wonder what that'll be like. And I did it on my first pass. I've just done a second fill. But this thing's amazing. And, I was reluctant to put this on because it does seem a little rough even to me. But the whole thing about this channel is to try and get you guys to see that you can do it with limited materials and limited funds. And you can do this with what you've got. And like the thing is, as I go around, it cracks around the curve like that. So I'm sanding and it's going with me. It's firm enough to keep its shape, right? But it's also malleable enough that it tracks around, and I think that's cool as. So yes, it's rough. I've done rough stuff in my life, but it worked. It works really good. So look, whatever works, works. If it's not conventional, that's fine. Okay, guys, well, that's it for this episode of Toyota Tuesdays. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you definitely next Tuesday for another Toyota Tuesday. Join me Saturday for a classic edition of I Call Bull, where I'll be working on the green limousine. So I hope to see you then. Remember to be kind to one another. It's free to be kind. And I hope you have a blessed week.